Hey guys, in this tutorial we're going to create these three iOS UI designs from scratch in Figma. Now I also want to remind you just before we get started that I recently launched some discounts on my courses, especially the Figma, Sketch and Adobe XD courses, which are going to have a higher price in just a moment. So feel free to check them out if you're interested in that. And now without further ado, let's jump into the video. So we're back in Figma, and now as the very first thing we're going to just rename this to iOS, and let's go ahead and let's create a new frame, which is going to be a phone. We're going to select the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but feel free to choose any other similar ones. And let's also double click on the name, and let's rename this to 1. All right, so far so good. Now we're going to use the text tool in order to create our very first headline, which is going to be Get Inspired. And we're going to increase the font size just a little bit using the arrow keys. And let's change the font to Montserrat. All right, so far so good. And now we're going to also make this I think we're going to go with medium. And by the way, Montserrat is a free Google Web font which you can download on the Google website again for free. So feel free to check it out. You simply have to Google Montserrat font and you're going to find it right away. So let's create a duplicate of this, and the way that I did it is by using the Option Alt key and just click with the left mouse button and drag. As you can see, you can create a duplicate really fast. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to add just some text, or actually let's type it in manually. So you start for your health. All right, let's add an N, and let's also increase the height between one sentence and the other, so the distance. And let's make this regular, and also let's just tone it down one more step. And there we go, we have our basic text. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add via the shape tools, we're going to add an ellipse, and we're going to create perfect circles by holding the shift key as we're actually creating this. And now we're going to use shift plus option and left mouse button to drag and copy this in the same x-axis. And now we're going to use Command D in order to repeat the same action. So as you can see, you can create these three dots very easily in a fast way. Now let's select all of them and just resize them. Let's group them together by using Command plus G. Let's center all this, and there we go. Now it's a great time to actually start adding the layout grids. So we're going to go over here, writing columns, and for mobile I usually only want 2 columns, so that will actually do the trick. And I'm going to make the layout grid lighter in order to make it, easier on the eye, so that I can focus more on the design than, on seeing the layout grid in of itself. So, all right, let's duplicate this one more time. Let's click on skip, or actually, let's right skip, and then let's add one other call to action, which is going to be next. And now it's time to add our very first icon, and what I'm gonna use is a Nucleo icons, which you can find at nucleoicons.com. And as you can see, this is a massive library of icons, and I'm going to text in arrow, and I'm going to have a look for an arrow which could work in this specific instance. And I think this one is looking pretty cool. So I'm going to simply drag and drop it. As you can see, by default, it's creating a frame. My preference is not to have a frame, so I just unframed it. And you can also go here and go on the option to unframe it. And now I'm going to simply make this arrow bigger and try to center align it according to the next text. All right, so far so good. And now let's make this arrow black. And one more thing that we need, of course, in this screen is to add the illustration, which we're going to use this amazing illustration from UI8. And as you can see, there's a lot of different illustrations on this particular theme. So let's go ahead and let's just go and over here, and let's select one of these. So as you can see, this is all distributed in a background, emojis and scenes, and we can literally drag and drop them. So, but for the time being, let's just have a look at the gallery. So as you can see, we have all sorts of different icons over here and different scenes. And let's go ahead and let's select one of these. And we're going to start with this one. So let's make it a little bit smaller, and let's center it right here. Now we're probably going to, well, actually the first thing, we're going to duplicate this by using Shift plus Option 2 times. Then we're going to select the other ones, which is going to be this one. Actually, probably let's start with this one right here instead of this other one, so that we have almost a crescendo of emotions. So from sad to indifferent to happy. So that's always a good transition. You always want to aim for something better. So let's go ahead over here. And let's just try and match these as they are. And what we're going to do is we're going to also change the background color to the color which is associated to that specific emotion. And as you can see, this is actually taking like making the project quite interesting visually in a very quick time, if that's even a way of saying it, but you get my point, guys. So yeah, just making it very colorful, and also the general gist is quite interesting to see. So, but one thing that I'm noticing is that there isn't enough contrast when it comes to the actual text, and this is something which we definitely want to consider whenever we're designing this set of screens. So we're going to increase the font or actually the color intensity by just a notch, so that we can get that contrast open and going. So let's write here some text. All right. Now, one more thing that we're missing is these dots are actually all having the same color, but we want to mimic the first stage, second stage, and third stage. And at the very end, we don't really want these call to actions, but we want an actual button. So we're going to do that, and we're going to match the distancing that we have over here. So let's go ahead. Let's probably just bring this some notches up, just so that we can have a little bit of more space when it comes to the this button right here, and I'm going to duplicate this, bring it all the way to the top, right, get started, select all the text and make it dark so that we can clearly see it. All right, so far so good, and we pretty much have our iOS app ready to go. So really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you're interested in seeing more of these type of tutorials, I have over 400 videos on my YouTube channel with both software tutorials and generally speaking my videos on my experience of working over 8 years as a UI UX designer. So feel free to check it out if you're interested in that, and I'll see you in the next video.